Hello once again, YouTube. Chris the Nightbringer here, bringing you some new in Fleetworks, and today we are doing the Caldari Showcase. And as you can see, I'm sitting in front of the drones. We are going to talk about the lore of the Caldari a little bit, not too much, and then we're just going to talk about the ships that they have and what they're all about and what their style is, basically. So I'm sitting in front of some very old drones that I made. Of course, every single one of these so far has started off with me showcasing some of the older drones that some of you may not even remember, although I did get a comment from somebody that did seem to remember when I was putting these out on my YouTube videos, which is pretty interesting. I'm going to have to redo these sometime in the future. So yeah, we're going to talk about the Caldari. What are they all about? Well, I have already gone over a little bit of their history with the Gallente because they have some close ties. I'm not entirely sure how the Gallente and the Caldari know each other. Either the Gallente incorporated the Caldari when they were expanding into space, or the Gallente and the Caldari, I've heard, share the same homeworld. It's very strange, and I really have no idea. Or the home system, that's right. It's the same home system. Something like that. I have no idea. But either way, at one point, the Caldari were part of the Gallente Federation. They were one of the states that make up the Federation, and that is why they are called the Caldari state. However, over the course of time, their ideals differed from the Gallenteans, and they separated to form their own nation, right? And they're all about keeping the meritocracy alive. They're all about corporations, big mega corporations, and that is how all aspects of their society are controlled, are through these big, massive mega corporations. And it's definitely a cyberpunk type of thing, which you don't really get exposed to in EVE Online, but additionally, it's pretty interesting because it's reflected very much so in their ship design, which, of course, the other designs from, like, the Amar and stuff, they're reflective of their type of culture, but the Caldari are the ones that most represent what they're all about, in my opinion, in terms of how their ships look. You can see it immediately that they are cold, angular, and in some ways very militaristic, and that is true of the Caldari people. They are a militaristic society. In fact, I believe most citizens have to perform military service for a certain portion of their lives, and they find it, honorable to stay in the military over the course of life. They are some of the most advanced people, or the most advanced of the 4 races in EVE that you can play as. So they have not the largest nation, but they are, in terms of technology, the furthest ahead. I'm not really sure how that came about, but maybe it's due to the way their culture operates, how there is always competition to be better and perform better and to sell something that is better than your other friendly neighbors, of course. Not so friendly in some cases, but you get the idea. So yeah, that's pretty much what they're all about. Recently, they have retaken their home world from the Gallentes, who had it for some reason. I honestly don't know why, but there was a massive fight over their homeworld or something like that not too long ago, and it was in fact part of EVE Online's lore and something that you could have actually partaken in, I believe, the fight for Caldari Prime, which is pretty awesome. And to be honest, that sounds awesome as balls. Caldari Prime, just that name alone is quite suiting for the race, I think. It's a pretty nice name for a planet. Anyway, so yeah, I've talked pretty much I've talked about pretty much all I know in terms of the Caldari lore. So I'm just gonna go back over here real quick, and we'll talk about what these ships are. And like I said, you can see the style that's coming through with a lot of these, especially these right here, the ones that I've actually finished. Very cold, metal-looking ships, gunmetal types of ships, or at least that's what they look like. And they have pretty weak armor, but they have the best shield technology of all the races, so you will always find the best shields on these ships, which is pretty interesting. So yeah, we've got the fighters, the bombers, the shuttle, of course, which will be updated in the future. The fighter drone, which is the one right in front of me, the Dragonfly, that one should be updated on the forums, and you can download that at any time you wish, as is the Ibis, I believe. I may be slightly out of date with the Ibis, but it's probably not going to get an update again until like a few months from now. But this should be updated as well. This is their rookie ship. It's quite large for a rookie ship. In fact, I think it is the largest rookie ship of them all, so I might have to convert the hull into standard hull in order to balance that out, because it's quite large and the other rookie ships simply cannot take that thing on. It's so large that it survives the beating that any other ship will give it, so I might have to change some stuff about that. Of course, we are moving into the frigates now. We have the the Bantam, I believe. I got the wireframe done for this, and the internals as well, but I'm probably going to redo the internals, especially with things like rails and stuff. Elevators are now a possibility. You will notice that the Caldari not only have some very inspired designs from, modern aircraft and stuff, modern military vessels and whatnot, but they're also very angular and very asymmetrical, and you'll see that here with the Griffin, which I consider to be one of the most ugliest ships in EVE. I cannot stand this thing. I don't know why they haven't updated the model, because it's so out of date. I can't fathom how they have updated things like the Condor, which was okay. It was okay, and not the Griffin, which is horrendous. I don't know. Anyway, personal grudges. I'm probably never going to complete that ship model. I'm just letting you guys know right now. I'm probably never going to finish that particular version of the ship, because I just hate it so much. Anyway, we have the Kestrel, which is actually a decent looking ship, and the Merlin, which is probably the most famous Caldari frigate of them all because of its shape and the fact that it is an attack type of combat-y frigate. You use this for combat. Something like that. I'm pretty sure, at least. If it's not, then I'm terribly mistaken, and I apologize. Of course, we have the Heron as well. This is their exploration craft. I think I know most about the Caldari ships because they most interest me. This is, in my opinion, my favorite race, and in terms of design and whatnot. Very angular, very strong, and I love it. We have their fighter bomber here, which is the Manticore, a ship that I would very much like to get to, just because it's a very cool shape, very cool design, and of course, who doesn't want a fighter bomber? And then we have the only other destroyer that I have completed, the Cormorant. This might also be getting some updates to its external hull. I'm not sure if I want to reduce all of these ships to regular hull. I feel like that's a bit too far, but they're still not weak enough in terms of their hull. They're supposed to be pretty weak ships in terms of their hull and their structure. Their shields are what make them powerful, and they do have the best shielding out of all the ships that I produce, so that is something I will have to consider. And then over here we have the Corax, a ship that I am very much looking forward to finishing. It's a very nice design. It reminds me of a submarine, a very dangerous and aggressive looking submarine, I might add, but nonetheless, pretty cool. And then here we have the Jackdaw, which is their tactical destroyer. And of course, you may notice I am importing these with the new Poly2Vox process. So a lot of these models are very clean, very nice looking, and I'm quite proud of that, because I'm quite happy with it, I should say, because, well, look how clean that model is. That'll be pretty fast to get, wireframed up and, get it ready for, the actual filling of systems and interior, which is nice. This is going to have tons of rails on it when it's done. There's all sorts of moving parts, including those antennae, which you are looking at. So that'll be one exciting project. So those are the destroyers, and now we are moving on to cruisers. Here is the Osprey, one of the more outdated ships, or at least outdated ship models. It should certainly get a facelift soon, but I'm not seeing anything coming from CCP, so who knows when that'll happen. Of course, they have recently updated the Caracal, which is the one we are about to look at now. Now this is quite angular, much more angular than it was before. It was actually quite squarish and boxy before, which is the one down there. That is the old version of the Caracal. You can see it's quite different from the new version. There are a lot of variant hulls for the Caldari, more so than the other races. Like for the Minmatar, the variations boil down to different types of wings, for example. But with the Caldari, they actually they change quite a lot. So this is the Caracal, just a Tech 1 ship. A Tech 2 variant, the Cerberus, is down here, and you can see that it's got a shortened front end, which is actually due to the players complaining that the caracal looked too stupid, which is quite funny because I actually like the design of the caracal. I think it's alright. Some players might think it makes no sense, but that's okay. That's fine. Eve doesn't have to make sense. It's a video game. So, yeah. It also has a lot of moving parts when you go into warp, which is nice. So that'll be fun to fiddle around with. Next up, we have the Moa, and, oh god, I don't know what the names of these ships are. There's the Eagle and the Onyx, which are Tech 2 variants. So up here is the Tech 1 Moa, which is another ship that has recently been updated with a new model in the past year or two. And it looks quite nice. The side bits, those big bulky wings on the end, they fold in when you go into warp. Down here we have, I believe it's, oh god, I don't even know. I don't even know what this was classified as in terms of cruiser. I know this one down here is a heavy attack cruiser. It has to be, because the sides here are fitted to hold like a ton of rocket launchers. And it's actually quite entertaining when you come out of warp because they all open up and the rocket launchers pop out. So that'll be another exciting build. So many rails on Caldari ships, just realized that. But of course rails are a somewhat advanced type of thing, so maybe that suits them quite nicely. More so than the other races, which are very curvilinear, like the Galente or the MR. Up here we have the Blackbird, with the old Blackbird model below. That's probably something I will never get to, or at least something I won't get to for a very long time, because the new version is what comes first. It's quite a dramatic change, as you can see. That's what it used to look like, very asymmetrical, and this is what it looks like now. Very sleek, very angular, dangerous. There are two variants of this as well, but I do not have them imported properly. They kind of broke. I'm not sure what's going on, but some of the models break. It's probably due to Poly2Vox and the way it imports models, but for the moment, that is the only one you'll be seeing. I may have showcased them in the past. I believe I did. Lastly, we have the strategic cruiser, the Tengu, which is, I think, the most used strategic cruiser. I'm always hearing about Tengus and never hearing about the other strategic cruisers that are in the game. So, this is their, 5-part ship that you can build and customize in EVE. It's a one-time customization. I don't know if I mentioned that in the other videos, but you can only build this once. I think once you have built it, you can't disassemble it. I may be wrong, but I'm fairly positive that's how it works. You may actually lose those parts if you detach them or something. I have no idea. Anyway, of course, if somebody wants to, explain that to me, go ahead in the comments below. So, that is the lineup of drones to cruisers for the Caldari. In the next episode, we will be taking a look at the Badger, which is an industrial ship. I should have just said industrial ships, battlecruisers, and battleships. The Badger is one of them. I don't know why my mind went to Badger. It's an interesting ship name, for sure. Anyway, thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you all next time.